You're in a business meeting giving a presentation, and your PowerPoint presentation is corrupted. What do? You're receiving an award, and on the spot are asked to give a speech that you haven't prepared for. What do? You're late to class, and the teacher asks what your excuse is. What do? Simple. Improvise. Now, this instrument I've been studying for the past 8 years. It is a trumpet, as most of you probably know. I don't want to insult your intelligence. And my favorite music to play on said instrument is jazz. And as many of you know, a key component of jazz is improvisation. Now, I may stand before you with an instrument that you don't care about, you don't know about, and a process you think doesn't apply to your daily lives. However, if it wasn't for the skills I've learned playing jazz on this instrument, I would not have survived many of the situations that I've previously mentioned. Now, in order to obtain the skills needed for improvisation, according to Professor Ronald Carter, the coordinator of jazz studies at this university, there are 3 steps. You must imitate, emulate, and then you can create. The first step, imitation, is simply obtaining the notes, or depending on if you're imitating the speaker, the words that someone is saying. Now, for example, ooh. Now, even though this is the first step in the long process that is learning how to improvise, many people skip it. Never discredit the importance of imitation. If you're ever caught in a situation where you feel extremely nervous, you can fall back on what someone else did as a starting point, as a positive uplift to continue on into when you actually start improvising. And realize that what or who you listen to will define you. Say you are trying to learn how to answer questions on the fly, and so you listen to political debates. Depending on which politician you listen to, you're going to pick up the traits of that politician, whether you mean to or not. And that's totally fine, because as a poet named T.S. Eliot once said in his book, The Sacred Wood, immature poets imitate, mature poets steal, bad poets deface what they take, and good poets make it into something better. Now, while this first step may be considered immature by T.S. Eliot, it is an important step to move on to the maturity that is needed to improvise. And the next step is emulation. Now, it is never enough just to know what someone said or what someone played. You have to know how they played it. What was their tone? Was there emphasis on certain notes or words, inflection at certain points in the speech? And if it is necessary to the art of what you are doing, such as public speaking, is their body language saying? Now, I'm going to play that same track, probably about half of it, in 2 different ways. Now, I would hope that I played the second one better, because I was following more of the previous artist's inflections and emphases on certain notes, as well as distorting certain notes. Because if I got up there and played it like I did the first way in a jazz club, it would be like me standing in front of you and speaking in monotone, or me going to a business meeting and flailing my arms in the air while I'm giving my presentation. Now, that may get your point across, but no one's going to be too happy about it in your company. These are all extravagant examples, but extravagant examples are needed to get the point across. Now, for a more subtle example, say you're giving an excuse to your teacher. If I were to give an excuse to my teacher in just this normal voice, sure, it might work, but you need a little subtlety, a little extra flair to it. By just adding some desperation to your voice. Please, just let me off this one time. And it's little things like that that can get you to the tipping point from good to great and get you out of whatever trouble you may be in. Now, after a while, you'll have built up enough vocabulary and ideas of style to where you can take the little bits and pieces of all the other people that you know of and add your favorite parts of their style to your own original style. And it's with this knowledge that we get to build upon what others have done before us. Now, what do people like best? Things that are new. The new Halo, the new Call of Duty, the new Wii, I guess, if someone wants that. But the thing is, we never like anything that's way out in left field that no one's ever heard of before. We like what builds upon what comes before us, and that's what the first two steps are for, is to build upon what people have done before you, so you can create something new and original that doesn't stray too far out from what we already know. But you have to be careful, because as beginners, most people tend to try and say or do too much. Now, Dana Hall, director of the Chicago Jazz Ensemble and an excellent jazz drummer, says to play 70% of what is in your head, and it will always be enough. You gotta leave some space there, you gotta just do what you're doing, only 70%. So, let's say you come home at 4 a.m. and your significant other asks where you've been. Now, I like to think that the people in this room are generally good people, but let's just say that tonight you did a few things that you are not too proud of. Now, any other day, and you'd just be dead. You'd be dead. But over the past few weeks, you've been studying the politicians or reality TV show stars or whoever you like to listen to who makes up lies, and you imitate their speech, you emulate their tone, and 3 minutes later, you're off the hook with your significant other. However, it's 4 a.m., and you don't have much time to sleep before work tomorrow. Pick up the phone. It's time to create an illness that'll get you out of work.